pleasure and privilege to welcome you here tonight for this most auspicious occasion. Neighbour, as we know, is full of talent. There are artists, there are musicians, there's a very talented town crier, and we also have some fabulous writers. It was my great pleasure to be present at the launch of Over the Fence, and tonight we are here to celebrate Breaking the Fence, this wonderful new work by Karen and Julie. I would like to thank them for all the work they put into it and been part of the great Knaresborough literary community and arts community, and for welcoming us all here tonight. Can we give them a huge round of applause? God save British!
Well, welcome to this very special session of Books and Beverages, and I'm delighted to be talking to Karen Haase and Julie Martin-Jones on the launch of your book, which is wonderful. Thank you, thank you. And your first book, and I remember talking to you at Knaresborough Library about it, was a story of Seren and her neighbour Clarissa, who was a baddie, but I like Clarissa. Well, what inspired you to write another book about them?
Lots of people like how we'd left it, and they wanted to know what happened next. So we were asked quite a lot. What's next?
Yeah, well, I was going to say, during book one, we were saying, oh, we're going to, we've got all these ideas, and so we felt it was right to finish it where it was. We're like, oh, and then Clarissa could do this and Seren can do that. So we already were writing down ideas for book two. And we were quite giddy. We were like, well, it depends whether the publishers want us, if we're any good. Anyway, luckily, Rick had asked us and said, yeah, let's go for book two. So it's been amazing.
Lovely. And I seem to remember you got a lot of support from your writers group at Rossett. Do you still go, and have you taken your second book to them?
I still go. I think there's so much still to learn about writing. And each time I go and sign up and do a 10-week session, I come away and I've learned that and I've learned that. So, and in fact, Jackie Kirkman's coming tonight, and some of the writing class are joining us this evening, which is lovely.
Oh, that's super, isn't it? Yeah. So, moving on, authors often say that writing the first book is comparatively easy. I don't totally go with that, but I understand what you're saying, because it's a fresh characters, new plot, it's all new to you, and possibly you didn't even know how it's going to end till you got there. Was that right?
No. Yeah, I think that's fair enough to say. Yes, yeah. There was less pressure, but as we keep saying, it wasn't going to be a book originally. It was just writing practice.
Yeah.
So book two, they just felt so much pressure.
Much more difficult.
Yeah, we had to think about it. We had to think like proper writers.
Oh, I don't think there is such a thing as a proper writer. But and so, why did you find it more difficult?
We had to sort of make sure the continuity was right with the characters. I think and also because we made everything up. So book one, there was things that happened in life we could reflect to, whereas book two was all fiction.
Yes.
So,
yes. But I suppose you have to check on book two that you haven't gone completely off the piece, writing about something that didn't happen in book one or turned out differently, because you've got to have that continuity, haven't you?
Yeah, there was times where we're going back and have we spelt the name right of that person? When's their date of birthday?
Did you have a list of characters from your first book so you could cross-reference?
It wasn't really so much the problem with the characters, it was the smaller things that we were trying to keep realistic.
Yes. And that's where you can fall foul. And if you have eagle-eyed readers, they'll tell you.
Yes. Yeah.
I hope you didn't get too many of those in your first book.
No, I think because it was so different what we'd done, it was an easy read. Whereas I think book two, because we've brought out all the background.
Yeah.
So book two was sort of more in depth with characters, wasn't it? So we felt we've gone slightly different style because we've taken on board what people have said to us from book clubs and chatting away. So, right, okay, we need to put a little bit more to these characters, haven't we?
What a better backstory than having but one they just made hero then remained. But no, no personality of it.
So with your characters, obviously Seren and Clarissa and their families are all in the new book, but did you find any minor characters from your first book making a bigger appearance in book 2?
Yes,
Definitely.
yes.
Well, spell the beans, tell us more.
Well, I think we found out a little bit more about Christine. She doesn't just make nice buns, does she? There's a little bit more to Christine than meets the eye. And we've also brought new characters.
Joe, the
Spick and Spank.
cleaning company.
Oh,
Makes some really big impacts.
it's strange, isn't it? How characters that you just sort of suddenly they're there and they're shouting at you, "I'm here and don't you dare ignore me."
Then we had to also introduce his father.
Yes.
So other characters came in the back of him.
And the other thing, of course, you've moved your setting to from an upmarket Yorkshire village. I mean, as if we haven't got any of those round here, have we? But to Australia. So, do either of you know Australia? Have you been? Is that why you chose?
I've never been. I had to rely on Julie.
I've been several times. But Clarissa is 50-50 about where she actually is. So again, you have to read it.
Oh, right. No, but I was wondering, was that easier? Because I've written books about using Harrogate as a background because it's just so easy, isn't it? Where you live or Knaresborough or wherever.
I had to rely on Julie and trust Julie's description and then try and visualise what Julie's telling me to then write about it. But we actually have named Harrogate this time. We've actually said, because those people in Harrogate named Harrogate. I would have said, we're in Harrogate.
Yes. So, in fact, one book group that we did suggested that the golf course that we were talking about could be the one. What's it called?
Oakdale?
Oakdale.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Oakdale's got it very nice, yes. And it's always quite funny when it is purely your imagination, isn't it? But people place, choose places.
The golf course that I knew.
So was that quite a challenge then, because you're writing about Australia and you're sort of tell me more. Was that more of a challenge in your writing?
I don't think it was, because we talk about the events and then we both go away and write how that character sees life. So no, I thought it was and it worked quite well, And in my mind, it's still Seren. Her priorities are children.
Yes.
So it's just the children, just in a different world. But she's still been a mum.
Yes. That bit doesn't change, does it?
No.
Yeah.
But you did go to art class.
Oh yes. I went to Rossett Education to learn. Well, I did a 6-week art history class. Yeah. Because for whatever reason we decided the characters are into art. We had no clue about art. So we had a lovely Italian lady who would talk about the techniques and look at the art and the depth and the concave of this picture and the triangle. And so I wasn't really taking much notice of the painting she was talking about. I was writing down everything she wrote and how she described.
And it's a technique, isn't it? And how they build up brush.
So that was, so that came in really handy to put some of that in the book. So hopefully any artists out there will think you know what you're talking about. Yeah,
oh, absolutely. So did you enjoy writing your second book? Was it as much fun as the first, or was it a bit more structured? More structured.
Yeah. I feel that Clarissa get away with quite so much. Trying to tell her that she has to behave.
So my final question, of course, has to be: now you've finished book 2. So what's coming next? What is your third book going to be?
We've talked, haven't we? We've talked about in the future where are these two characters going to go and how they're going to behave. And
can I put a plug in for Clarissa? I mean, I know she's mean and rotten, But I've actually felt quite sorry for her.
It's funny, so many people said that. I didn't feel sorry for her at all.
So will you be writing a third book, or will you be doing something totally different?
Yeah, there's room for, yeah.
And you've got a lot of time, haven't you? Because you've done it in the 2000s, so you've got at least 20 years to play with to bring
Well,
the
that
story.
was something, yeah, an advantage with going through the time that we wrote it. We have got time to catch up, maybe get to 2026. Yeah. And then we'll have to stop there.
Oh, thank you very much for talking to me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Rick Armstrong, I'm the publisher, so I'm the managing director of a company called Fisher King Publishing, which was started in 1991 when I must have been 6 or 7. We publish books worldwide, and for those who were at the event for Over the Fence, you'll have heard me talk about these fantastic writers next to me, Julie and Cara. And that book was then put into audio. Can I have a show of hands, those who have got that book and those who have got the audio version? Yeah. Okay, so there's some work to do. And by the way, Gary asked me to remind everybody that if you came in and you did not buy a book, you have to buy 2 to get out. That was the deal, wasn't it? Something like that. Yeah. We're getting feedback for Over the Fence from around the world. We've got 2 film companies that we pitched the book to. In fact, the girls don't know about this, but anyway, we pitched it. And we seem to spend more time talking about the books as series rather than books, which is really interesting. So in our office, we're always talking about Series 1. And because we see that book, Over the Fence, as a series. And anyone who's read it, you will have probably got the voices in your head. And if you've heard the audio book, then you'll definitely have the voices in your head and we've got the fantastic voices with us in Jane and Meg tonight. And they're going to be speaking to us after we've heard from the authors. But that voice, if you think about transcribing that book, because if you've read it, you know that it's a two-hander. It is 2 women's diaries that we're going through. So how do you put that into a stage play? We've talked about stage plays, and we've said, could it work as a two-hander on stage? Or would you need an ensemble to come in on that? Would you need to change the way the flow of it, if you will, in order to make it work on stage? Well, there's all sorts of ways you can do that, but harder with film, harder with TV series. But we've come up with a plan. So if you think this works, well, in fact, I'm not going to ask you to agree with me. It just works because we've come up with it. But each episode will start with the diaries. It will start with the main protagonist, the 2 writers of the diaries, and it will follow the first couple of entries in the book, and then it will fade to the cast and all the things that go on with the house. And I think that is the best way to treat it. And I'd like to say we came up with this. I use we a lot, but actually it was one of the film companies that I was speaking to who came up with it. But because they told me, I now own it, and therefore it's my idea. You'll be pleased to know that book 3 is on what we call the slate. So book 3, hopefully, we'll choose another very warm night to get together, and then we'll have a big announcement over book 3. But book 2, if you've read book 1, book 2, you have to read book 2 because you have no idea what's coming, and it's big. And then we can all wait in anticipation for book 3. I'm going to hand over to these 2 fantastic authors to speak to us now. But I wish them every success with everything they do in this series of books, and also in their writing careers that are going to be huge. Thank you very much.
I don't know if I need a microphone, actually. I can't memorise like Rick, but thank you for that introduction. And thank you to our town criers, how amazing.
Brilliant.
So I'll start my written work. Good evening. It is lovely to see so many family and friends here tonight to support Julie and myself. I know how far some of you have travelled and really appreciate the effort you've made here. We have people from Eastbourne, Nottingham, Skipton and Bishop Auckland. So my first thank you is to everyone in the room here tonight to support us. I never believed that one day I would actually co-author a book, let alone get it published. It's even harder to believe that we are actually here this evening, almost 2 years to the date, celebrating our second book launch, the sequel, Breaking the Fence. We originally had the title Destroying the Fence, but felt it sounded a little bit too much like a psycho thriller. Although at times the title probably did go well with Clarissa's personality. Looking at Julie. Julie and I have often talked about how unlikely it would have been for us to become friends. Our social circles and interests are very different, but we do have that one thing in common, our passion for writing, and this has bonded our friendship. Julie and I work incredibly well together and bounce off each other with so many ideas, which has enabled us to co-author the books. It goes without saying, without Julie, the books would never have happened. From me personally, a big thank you to my unlikely friends and writing partner. I'm very grateful to be in the privileged position to talk about our first book to so many different people and groups, which has allowed Julie and I not only to promote Over the Fence across Yorkshire and beyond, but help develop our characters for the sequel. This journey has been really incredible. Although writing a book is only half the challenge, the other half is editing, and more editing. For me, editing is like doing the worst English homework ever. Those who know me well will know I really struggle with English. I remember getting my O-level results and getting a grade B in English literature, which was a huge surprise to me, and then my mum asked me, did I mark the wrong paper? Julie and I would like to give a huge thank you to those who have helped edit. Mum, Angie, Sharon, who unfortunately can't be here tonight, Janice, Jackie, who is still my inspirational writing tutor, and my Gary. I would like to make it clear, when you read the book and if you find any English errors, then it's their fault, not ours. Thank you, Meg and Jane, for being our brilliant narrators, who you will hear in a short while. They have brought Over the Fence to life, and we are so excited that Meg and Jane have agreed to narrate the audiobook for the sequel. Meg and Jane have been incredibly supportive, joining us at events as wonderful characters Seren and Clarissa. Thank you, Rick and Fisher King Publishing team, for still believing in us. Without you, we would not be here tonight. Many people may not know this. Rick organised the first draft of our book back in November, so I could physically give my dad a copy of the book, and Julie encouraged me to have it personally dedicated to him. It's very emotional when Dad held the book and saw his name in print. It meant the world to Dad, the family, and myself. So thank you. So being here at the Dagger, Harrogate Railway Athletics Club, just feels so right, as Dad was a lifelong member. We'd like to thank Lynn and all the staff for looking after us this evening. You've been brilliant. Meg.
Yeah.
Meg, you've done us proud with all the work you've done through Up to Social to promote Over the Fence and us. Because of your help and hard work, we can proudly say Over the Fence has sold worldwide. Thank you to Books and Beverages, especially Sue and Edwin, for your ongoing support and for filming and promoting us this evening. Thank you to my wonderful 4 children and their partners for supporting, encouraging and keeping me going when the words didn't flow. And Gary for being my rock, my biggest supporter. I need to stop talking, as I know for a few of you, especially Dan, Benny and Johnny, want to see the England game, which kicks off at 9 p.m. Dismissed me, Sister Talia. I know Gary isn't too bothered about the game because his first love is Scotland. After me, I hope. And finally, thank you once again for everyone joining us here this evening. Enjoy your night.
Okay, well, I've only got 1 page, and how do I follow that? Thank you, Karen. So I'd just like to add my thanks to everybody for attending tonight. It's really good to see so many people here. And I'd like to thank Gary and Yorkshire Eyewear for sponsoring us. And I do believe that actually he's to blame for Karen and I becoming writing partners, because he's the one that bought her the laptop and encouraged her to write. So, not sure where it's on you. So I'd like to thank Rick for all his support and all his help. And that's about it from me, because I came last. So thank you very much for coming.
So we're going to have a reading now. I'm going to introduce Meg, our Seren.
Tuesday, the 6th of the 6th, 2006. Seren, Geelong, Australia. It's funny how a date can trigger certain memories. It's 4 years ago today since we moved to Ardenster House on Willow Road, Harrogate. I remember feeling so excited and happy about our new life in Yorkshire, when actually reality was nothing like. We had some good times, don't get me wrong. The house, after all the work we had done to it, was amazing. We created a beautiful family home. Perfect space for bringing up our family, Robbie Jr., Frank, and of course the arrival of the twins, Skylar and Tommy. Charlie, our beautiful golden Labrador, the budgie Clarabelle, Paul the rabbit, and that chicken. Whatever made Frank think that tandoori was a good name for a chicken. All of these animals, except the budgie, running around our huge, fabulous garden with the children, playing, laughing. I love the sound of children laughing. It's one of the most beautiful sounds in the world. Oh yes, we had that rather hunky gardener that used to turn up and take his shirt off. I'd forgotten about him. The name on the side of his van, what was it? Trim Your Bush by Barry. Can trim more than just your bush, in big, bright blue lettering. I used to see Barry driving around Harrogate in his white van. Not quite the Harrogate image, but that logo of his did make me giggle. We have a bush that does need trimming at the far end of our yard by the pool. I love saying that. Our pool. Maybe that's what made me think of Barry the bush trimmer. To be fair, the Yorkshire sense of humour was quite different from down south. Us southerners can seem to lack humour at times compared to those up north. Yorkshire definitely is more welcoming and prettier. I can see why they call it God's own country. But then there was that woman, that horrible, horrible woman next door, Clarissa. All she ever wanted was to make our lives miserable, wanting us to move because, according to her, we lowered the tone of the area. I'm guessing because her life was so sad, if she upset us, it would make her feel better. One of those types who will never be happy in life. She really was awful, nasty. Well, she got her own way in the end. She did get us to move. Life has certainly changed, but in a mad way, she actually did us a favour. I know I'm not the same woman who left England, upset, angry, so hurt, feeling like we'd been pushed out of our beautiful house. Oh, the house. It had suddenly become a millstone around our necks with that horrible woman next door. The thought of her just sends shivers down my spine. Seren, keep it positive. Keep reminding yourself how far you have come. You are not going to think about anything negative or even the negativity associated with that woman's name, Clarissa. Although I really want to add on the word cow to her name, Clarissa the cow. But I'm not. I've moved on. I am the bigger person, although Clarissa the cow does have a certain ring to it. I do hope her new neighbours have made her life as difficult as she has made ours. Now that would be karma. Stop it, Seren. Remember, you have moved on. Look at where we are now. Life really couldn't be any more different since leaving the UK. Can't believe we've been in Australia since February 2004. Where has the time gone? I was wandering around our amazing home this afternoon, pinching myself, thinking how life can just change so quickly. Look at us with our backyard and our own swimming pool in beautiful sunshine. This country just feels full of opportunities. Robbie and Frank have learned to surf, play cricket, rugby and football, although Robbie was quite good at football before. They've had a go at horse riding, hockey, basketball, and they swim every day in our own pool. Our pool! And the boys even love playing netball. The twins just look so happy and seem to smile all day long. Tommy and Skylar are both really good at swimming, even though they are so young. Charlie loves jumping in the pool to play with all the children. I actually think Tommy has learnt to swim by watching the dog. This is the life. The skies are so blue and go on forever, hardly a cloud. Even the winters are warmer than our British summers. The beaches are soft, white and clean. Everyone speaks to each other and makes an effort to be friendly. The community spirit is fabulous. I love it. It feels like life is one big barbecue. And my Bobby, I cannot believe the change in him. I've never ever seen him look so relaxed. He's even managed to master man cooking. Beer in one hand and tongs in the other. He actually does a fantastic barbecue now. Not like the first time cooking on a barbecue with all that smoke and the fire brigade showing up in Yorkshire. At least we can laugh about it now. Just look at the life we are living and the things we are experiencing. If she, that woman, had been nice, we may have never have come to Australia. I feel all the darkness we went through has lifted, and now I'm living in the light. I have moved on so much. Maybe she did us a favour. Maybe we are exactly where we are supposed to be, and all the pain and heartache was for a reason, to lead us to this amazing life. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for my wonderful family. And thank you, Clarissa, for being horrible. Did I really just write that?
And then we have Clarissa.
The cow. I'm nice, really. Tuesday the 6th of June 2006. It is that time of year again when memories come flooding back in. The past should remain in the past. Sometimes that is so difficult to achieve when it intertwines so closely with one's future. Decisions need to be made, important decisions, in order to move forward and leave the past behind. I can't continue to live in this house with the terrible neighbours I seem to have inadvertently acquired. The house next door seems to have become a complete and utter disaster in my life over the last few years. That has not always been the case. Originally, the beautiful old house belonged to an old lady who had lived there long before Michael and I had moved in as the new neighbours. Mrs. Arga Jones was from one of the original moneyed families who owned homes in this rather select area where name and title stood for prestige and good social standing. At first, I had been encouraged to become her friend by Michael, my then new husband. I was branded as wayward, and he was going to turn me into someone respectable, in keeping with his lifestyle. She was older, a suitable influence, well educated, and obviously from a good social background, but with no remaining family and few friends, was quite isolated. My parents had investigated her family and assured Michael she had impeccable connections and met with their approval. Michael had decreed her an adequate companion for me. She would curb any wayward ideas I might still have entertained, and I could learn from her how to garden and conduct myself as a lady. If she had been party to his plans or had even known my parents, she never let on. She treated me only with kindness. She never asked about my past or the life I had left behind. Instead, we spent our days together in her beautiful garden. As the years passed and our friendship deepened, she would tell me stories of her travels. Other times we would sit quietly together in her magnificent library while I read aloud to her, or I would listen as she shared tales of times long gone. Those days for me had been quiet and uneventful, and were an escape from Michael's rigid expectations of me. The years had rolled on, and as she declined in health and age, Michael, in his misguided wisdom, had decided it was unsuitable for me to continue to visit her, as he did not want her to become a burden to us. She was, he said, taking up far too much of my time, and he was my priority, not her. It was, of course, always about Michael's needs and demands. I wish I'd been braver and objected, but I didn't, and so I obeyed his order. I had grown to love her company and had been quite sad to end our friendship, with no goodbye or explanation. Michael's word was law. She had eventually gone into a nursing home and there she died. Alone, I'm sad to say. I allowed that to happen when I could have been a friend at her side. With no family, the house was emptied and put up for sale. My parents were both dead, and I had quietly lost my only real friend. In the months before the first new family's arrival, the house had stood silent, empty and neglected, abandoned. It was terrible to see it like that. It was all so sad. The years that passed after my visits had been stopped had taken their toll. With the passing weeks, the temptation to slip next door and explore the once so familiar garden had become too compelling to ignore. With no one there to stop me, what harm could it be doing, even when I'd squeezed through the gap in the hedge and fence to take a closer look around? Perhaps even to say my silent goodbyes. I had found a way into the garden that became my secret entrance to escape my dull, regimented life. The garden, once so cared for and spectacular, had been left to become an overgrown and wild jungle, smothering the rare and beautiful plants that had once graced the formal borders. Over the weeks after the first exciting foray, I spent many happy hours, fuelled by nervous adrenaline, sneaking into the deserted garden, searching the neglected borders for the rare, pretty plants I had remembered from those early years and visits. I had rescued most of the plants and moved them into my garden, creating a new display to impress the ladies of the gardening club. By the time the new owners had arrived, it was all done. After all, if I had left them unattended, where they would have probably died or been trampled by builders. I was merely keeping them from a certain death, no harm done to anyone. In my garden they have been nurtured, and I have been enjoying their colours and scents over the years, from then until now. The long-abandoned summer house in the top part of the overgrown garden had been a treasure trove of art materials and books on that subject. Funny how Mrs. Arga-Jones had never mentioned her interest in the subject, and we had never discussed it on my visits to her. The discovery of the treasure trove of paints and soft brushes had reignited a long dormant passion and reminded me of who I had once been. It had become a place of joy for me. The house had gone onto the market at an expensive price, in keeping with the exclusiveness of our street. It meant that only the right kind of person would be able to afford it, someone with money and class and good social standing like us. Michael was very happy it would only appeal to the right type of people for his idea of acceptable. We were therefore thrilled to discover it had been sold to a doctor. Michael had been ecstatic, convinced it would be the right kind of neighbour to have. Quite how things went so wrong, one cannot fathom. But before I could make amends, they moved away and rented the beautiful house to the shambles of humanity who are making life here unbearable with their uncouth behaviour and foul mouths. I have decided I can no longer live here, and on my return in a month, I will contact the estate agent and insist on listing the house. I think it is time for another new beginning for me. I'll miss my beautiful garden and art studio, but they are replaceable. This house doesn't even hold happy memories. It's just a constant reminder of unhappy days and the sad, lonely woman I had become while Michael was alive. Tomorrow heralds a new chapter in life for me.